Hello everyone, welcome from the Void podcast, a show all about Eternal and our experiences with a game. Before we get into the episode, we would like to thank Hero Power and ECMMO Gaming for producing this podcast. You can find more about Hero Power at heropowerhs.com. I'm Navillus, and I'm always joined with my good friend and co-host, Travis, or TJ, I guess. Say hi,
It's
man.
me!
Yes. And also, we have...
BassoonBuffoon, a.k.a. BB, a.k.a. TJ, a.k.a. Travis, a.k.a. your friendly neighborhood cleaver boy.
Yes, he has way too many... Okay, we'll just go on. All right.
It's going to get longer every week.
It's going to get longer. It's going. Then we have a good guest on, I think. I'm not sure. I've only talked to him through Discord, so... But Notorious, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. P.S. Mute the stream, whoever has that open. I heard that.
It wouldn't go into chat only mode. I just wanted to see what the boys in chat had to say.
Just to let you all know that are listening, that are watching, this is a very candid show, so whatever happens, we just roll with it. And so I try to keep Travis tamed, and Notorious, I don't know, so I'm going to try my best there too. So Notorious, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you got your gamer tag, Notorious? What does the GHP stand for? I've always wondered that. Tell us a little bit about your gaming background, your future goals with the game or with games in general. So go for it. Take it away. You have the floor.
All right, let's just start with the name. So first, my initials is GHP. That's why most people know me as Jerry. The Notorious part was basically, for those of you who play Magic, some stores will host what we'll call an invitational, normally every season. And our store did one, and basically, so it's top 16 for our store. I think I was 17th, or I was basically the person on call after people dropped. Mm-hmm. And someone dropped the day of the event. Because of that, they got me to come play, and unlike other people, I obviously didn't have time to do any testing or anything like that. And then at the store for like draft pods, they actually put your names on name tags, and someone who does that sometimes likes to put nicknames. So he, for some reason, decided to put Notorious GHP, because most people locally know me as GHP. Mm-hmm. And I loved it, and I stuck with it. And I had a shitty online name before this, and it was just so much better. I just ran with it.
Tell us your embarrassing bad online name, because you did not say it just now for a reason. Yeah. And I want to know.
We're going to do this?
Yeah, we're going to do it. Do you know me?
Alright, so...
you could have not said that sentence at all, and I wouldn't have said anything. You set me up for this. You were your own downfall.
For all future guests, don't give Travis like a little foot in the door, because he'll just slam it open and make you, just tell what it is. Alright, go ahead, Notorious.
Alright, well, there's lots of information about this name online. But the old name I used to go on, this was like when I was 10 or 11, is the Awesome One HHH.
Okay.
Awesome One.
It's two wrestling names, and me being an 11-year-old with no ideas.
Okay, good. I don't want to even delve into it anymore. I just want that to exist in the world.
So people know it because when they try to pay me on PayPal, that's what it's associated with.
You can't change your PayPal name in the year 2018?
Yes.
I don't know, I just haven't tried. So
I love it, your PayPal name.
Wow. I started my gaming background. I played, basically since I have started heavily gaming, I've only played League and card games at all, basically. Mm-hmm. So I played League, I coached some, we'll call it smaller teams, basically teams trying to break into real professional levels a little bit. I was never particularly good at the game, and then once I got into card games, I drifted away from that. So I played Magic for the last 5 years, including having multiple attempts of getting to the Pro Tour and still trying to, after queuing for multiple RPTQs. I've played, and I'm still playing Hearthstone semi-competitively. Currently, of course, trying to qualify for like BoysCon. But primarily, I've played Eternal for the last 2 years, focusing on streaming and A, producing educational content, and B, trying to actually be the very best at the game and to help teach people to get better on their way here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yes, you mentioned like helping people. Are you thinking about doing some coaching? Is this something you're wanting to start up and everything?
Well, if you went to my Twitch page, which is NotoriousGHP, or if you go to the lovely team that I represent, Team Rankstar, if you go into my profile, both of those actually show that I've offered coaching, and I've coached people in the past.
Nice.
Only a couple of people, but also that was before we got the organized play announcement, which is relevant because what was the incentive to come and pay money to get one-on-one coaching?
Cool. So that's awesome, man. I implore you, if you want to learn more about Eternal, hit Notorious up. I've watched him. I've spectated him play some games, and I'm actually going to get some coaching from him in the future. So I encourage you all to do the same too. He's a good player, and I look forward to see what Eternal has for you going forward. I want to see you in the top 32. I want to see you and Travis both in the top 32 and face each other. Then I would just like. I'd probably comment on it and just like make fun of you guys the whole time. But anyway, moving on. Anything else you want to add, Notorious? Are you good?
Not really.
Okay. Let's talk about our this week. We're just going to go over this briefly because we got other things we want to get into because we had an exciting thing happen on Wednesday. So we'll get into that in a second. But let's first just real quick. How did we finish the season? I just want to ask real quick, Travis, how did you finish the season?
The ranked ladder?
Yeah, ranked ladder. How'd you finish? Just curious.
Top 1,000, baby.
Top 1,000. That's all he'll say. Okay. Notorious, how'd you finish?
Top 50?
Nice.
Constructed, I didn't play like any draft.
Cool. For me, I finished around rank 350, so top 400. So that's what I did. All right, let's move on. We had yesterday on Wednesday. So if you're listening to this, it's probably Friday. So a couple days ago, we had Into Shadows release. We're going to talk more about that in a brief second. But also this past weekend, we had Direwolf Digital's first official tournament. And what you guys think about that? Did you guys play in it? Travis, did you play? Notorious, did you play? Tell me how you did.
I did play. I went top. Here's my records. 5-1. Holy moly!
You thought
5-1.
You thought you were going to.
Holy moly! Yeah, I was 10-2, baby.
I don't want to know this.
No. The fall.
2-4.
Oh. Okay. What were you playing?
Akaria Blue.
Akaria Blue.
I had a
for
bunch
all
of
three?
relic weapons.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to never lose to Temporal and have a good game against Cambrai, and that's Akaria Blue. Was my Akaria Blue deck was tuned to do those two things.
Very nice.
I think I went 12-6. I played Valks for all three, and I honestly regret it. But if I had queued for the top 32, my intentions was to decline because I was playing the ECL Invitational that day.
Cool.
All right.
For me, I did.
Did you do your runs?
I did one run. I went 3-3 my first run. I was playing Cambrai aggro. Didn't really have a lot of time to practice. Plus, it was my wife's birthday that weekend, so gaming was not that important for me that weekend. So I feel like I made the smarter choice and hung out with my wife for the weekend and did some hiking, did some fun things, hung out with friends. But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the scene. I kind of like how they're doing it. Maybe adding one more run instead of 3 runs, but to do 4 runs to give you a little bit more leeway with losses. We can talk about that in a future episode of how we think maybe they can improve the tournament thing. But I like it. I'm not complaining because this is an in-game tournament, and not really any other clients or any other digital card games are doing this right now. So thank you, Direwolf Digital, for doing this. It's awesome. I look forward to future things. All right, let's move into our next thing. We have Notorious. We want your thoughts on Temporal Control. All right, because we were talking about this. Yeah, you mentioned you want to talk about this because there's a lot of I know Travis has a few things to say as well. There's a lot of mixed things about this, especially on Reddit. I know that's shocking, right? Okay, and like I got into Masters last season with Temporal. I think in Diamond I went like 7-1 to hit Masters. Like the deck was good. I think I hit it the right pocket just to do it. The deck is good. Let's not get it wrong. I think the deck is good, but is it really a problem? Is it too OP as people are saying? So I want your guys' thoughts. Notorious, take it away, my friend.
So, first of all, I played a lot of Temporal last season. Temporal was like the season not Temporal. Last season was the season I like heavily returned to Eternal and like made it my primary focus. And Temporal was something that like I always loved the previous sets because I enjoy the decks that involve a ton of decision making, and even if they might seem like minor, there are a lot of different things going on with Temporal, and a lot of games play out differently. I do think there are some problems that can happen with Temporal, and a lot of those are the games where you bottom your win conditions because for your opponent, it just feels terrible. I know people on Reddit really like to hate the deck, so I'll address that part now. So to the wonderful people of Reddit, you hate everything that's not mid-range Soupfest. And then when mid-range Soupfest happens, we complain about mid-range Soupfest. Although I get the fact that the deck can sometimes be a little unfun to play against, I agree. I also think that it is true that like this deck sometimes takes 3 or 4 times longer than the rest of the decks you'll play against. So if you're trying to jam that 5-minute game on the bus, it might not happen. But I don't necessarily think a unitless control strategy is necessarily bad for the game. Like I know a lot of people complained about Chalice when it was popular, and I was also a supporter of Chalice when it comes to it's just a control deck. And we haven't had much dedicated control decks in basically ever. If you look at like Felon Control, if you want to call that like our definition of a control deck, or removal pile or various Ikaria decks, all of these kind of just build up to playing 1 to 2 win cons and hope it gets there a lot of the time, but they still want to be half proactive with cards like Maiden, Don't Feast Caller, whatever. And this deck just doesn't really have their proactive plan, which I don't necessarily think is bad. Yes, the games take a long time, but I think as a general idea, I think Temporal is healthy for the game. Do I think it's going to get nerfed? Yeah, I do.
Counterpoint.
Go for it.
Okay. A control deck being good is healthy for the game.
100%.
However, my problem, I'm torn because I'm not a Reddit complainer. But I think that Reddit plays in a way that is so contrary to how the game not is meant to be played. Okay, so the game very specifically has cut tons of windows for interaction for fast spells as compared to other games with instants, right?
Yeah.
You can't respond to weapons being equipped. You can't respond to, like summon abilities that only affect your own side of the board. And so my problem with Temporal is that it kind of reduces the game to like waiting for my opponent to pass priority back to me. The game. .exe. So
go ahead.
So I would like for a control deck in the game to not put so many, especially after they play the temporal distortion, right? I would like to not have to. I would like for the game to not take literally 3 to 4 times as long, not because of the number of turns the game is, but because I'm waiting for them to like leisurely and casually mash their spacebar every time I do literally anything.
I think that's a really good point. I hadn't considered that, but that I think is a problem. I've had games, for example, let's say I'm just picking an absurd case. Let's say we're playing a Temporal Mirror and we both have Stronghold Visage in play. The amount of time for the turn to actually start is like, it's probably somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds, and that's absurd. Like, I'm gonna probably talk about Talir combo in a second just to add on to this point.
Don't do that.
Oh my word!
I do think things that take, 5 minutes in Eternal are bad. Because they're not fun, and I think the pause window, I'm going to call it a problem in Temporal, is a real problem. And I think the problem for Direwolf is the way the game is currently set up with Temporal. I don't know if that could be changed. There isn't the opportunity to, like, F6, which is kind of awkward. Like, if I just have...
You just hold it?
Yeah, if my last card is, let's say it's Seek Power that's causing all the pauses, I wish I could just F6 it, but then you need to know that I have a pause. So I don't know if they could ever actually fix that, which kind of sucks to say, because I do think that's really bad for gameplay.
I have read online that there's no hotkey auto pass intentionally, and that will never be a thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible because of the fact that they want you to know if there's a pause.
And just mobile users, right?
Yeah, from a balance perspective, I think Aurelia Merchant is busted. And I do think that card. Okay, this is me being honest, and I'm really hoping Direwolf will watch this. Aurelia Merchant is a busted card. Having one of the Merchant's ramp is kind of absurd because it can let you do things like, oh, I'll just play Merchant into Wall Bearer, which doesn't feel good. But it also, Time has such a good market spread, and decks that don't even need ramp, like Temporal, getting access to ramp is so nice because its cards are simply so expensive. Like, that deck kind of wants to play Power Stone, but it doesn't interact with the board, and the fact that a 1/4 also stonewall strategies and lives through Hailstorm and Torch and blah 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 is a problem. I think the deck itself as a concept and the cards we have, besides Aurelia Merchant, is currently balanced. I think it is one of the better decks in the game, but I think you can target the deck quite easily. For example, various Praxis decks are playing Jabbo and Greatsword, which is great. Valks is playing Runehammer, some play Sword of Ikaria, and Daisho. And you could target it with things like weapons, and the deck does have weaknesses. It has problems with Aegis. It has problems with charge threats, which is why like some Scream strategies are good. And Aegis in general can be a problem. So like I think the deck has enough weaknesses that are exploitable enough that the deck is in a balanced spot. But I won't be sad if Aurelia Merchant gets hurt. I've heard some people say that they think Vital Arcania should go to 6. Which to me is kind of hilarious because the card isn't actually that good. It's just good in the show.
It helps Temporal hit that like critical mass of card draw, right?
100%. And it also when we were testing, like I had plenty of games where like let's say you had 6 power on board, right? And I have the Harsh Rule, and I'm on 5, and I'll just be like, I'm basically gonna cast a Fog instead that draws 2, because I don't. That's one of the really powerful things about it. I think the card's very good in Temporal, so if they want to target a card that only matters in Temporal, and I guess some mass decks now, that's a good target. But I don't think Temporal, besides Aurelia Merchant, needs to get touched right now.
Okay. So do you have any final words for the Reddit users, the Reddit whiners, the Reddit crybabies? This is not the official stance of From the Void podcast. This is GHP going on the lam. Tell them. Final words.
I think Reddit needs to stop complaining so much because I think people on Reddit are complaining about basically everything. I don't know what Reddit wants. Besides it to be Magic. I think Reddit wants this game to be Magic.
Gross.
I don't know. Reddit
as somebody who...
No, I said Reddit is just basically an outlet for complaining, and a lot of times, and
true.
And so
it's a diary.
Yes, yeah. So that's my thought on it. But sometimes Reddit's good. There's a few nuggets every now and then that you can find, but But there. Any last words before we move on to our next thing we want to talk about, which is I'm excited for?
Okay, those were the last words. Let's go.
Yeah, those were the last words.
All right, let's go on to... All right, we're going to look into Shadows, the new set that got released on Wednesday. There was lots of good cards. I'm going to throw some of the cards up on here in a second. We're each have one that we want to talk about. So, Travis, why don't you... Actually, we'll save yours for last, Travis, okay? Because I actually have a deck list with
What'd you guys think of the story when you played through the campaign? Have you guys all done it yet?
So
I know you have, Jerry.
I'm not what we'll call a lore buff, I believe is what we've heard them as. I think the lore is interesting, but I haven't went super out of my way for it yet. And one day I want to sit down and just actually read through it all. From what I understand, are we allowed to talk about spoilers?
Yeah, leave now if you haven't played through the campaign.
Exactly.
Okay.
Go.
I think Jack is a little overused. For anybody watching who knows anything about wrestling, Jack is Roman Reigns. But
I have no idea what that reference means.
Someone who the fans hate to just keep pushing to main event every show, because they think he should be the guy.
But who hates Jack? He's dead. Jack is dead.
Jack is cool, but I kind of wish we had some other characters at times. It is Jack's
I want
story.
Skycrack Jack. I want Feln Jack.
Hey,
He's a zombie.
I'm just sad they got rid of Icario. So, Icario was awesome.
Yeah. I think the story was kind of interesting. I think Vera is a teenage girl with daddy problems at this point.
Aren't we all?
Really though.
But did you have fun, GHP? It's a game. Thank you.
I didn't know if you wanted me to talk about the gameplay at all.
That's all I wanted you to talk about.
I want a hard mode.
Hard mode would be fun.
It would be. It'd be cool, to challenge us in that. Sometimes I feel like these adventures or stories or just a little too easy sometimes.
100%.
When I queued into the final boss, I was like, I am ready to get messed up and get real mad at something
And
ridiculous. And then I one-shot him.
So how did we all do it?
Ooh, that's a good idea. Okay, very briefly, let's tell the people what deck we used to beat the final boss.
Just to let you know,
the final boss, for anybody who hasn't played through, you start with 50 power and 10 influence. So you can do turn 1 ridiculous stuff.
Oh, wow. Well, I have not gotten there yet, so I'm interested. So.
Alright, so...
Hey,
I did it.
Wednesday's a busy day for me.
I did it twice.
You did it twice. Okay.
I did it with. I turn 1 killed with Xenon combo.
Turn 1, that's funny.
And I turn 1 killed with Skycrag Infinite Waystone Titans.
Wait, so did you end of hostilities them or something?
Yeah.
That's pretty sick, actually.
It's a good idea.
Because I just was like, well, this is the way I could do it without losing games in ranked. And I don't need to play long barrel now, which makes it easier. Or not long barrel. What, end of the barrel? The right one.
Yeah. The ramp one.
I did actually play that deck last night on ladder to a 50% win rate.
Let's go, baby.
Nice.
Okay, so I just played through it once, and I did mask plus strength of the pack. So I turn 1 mask, ult mask, strength of the pack, and then I just killed him with tormentors.
That's Nave, if you want to cheese it, last word.
You can turn 1 last word, ult last
the
word.
last word and hit them, and they die.
Oh, I still need to do this and record that. I'm just going to be like, oh, man. Okay.
Well, that's a 3-second long video, dog.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just a short look. I'll sit there for the whole timer to give it more substance in the video.
I don't think there's a timer in the campaign.
Oh man, I
There
can
is
sit there
not.
as long as I want. Okay. This is great.
Okay. Tell
Cards.
us,
You wanna talk about
Navillus, what is your favorite Into Shadows card?
All right, I'm gonna throw it on screen here. My favorite out of all of them, I was looking. Now there was cool. I liked what is it? It's called the Sea of Teeth. That was kind of a cool. I would like to mess around with that. That's when you get all those little scorpions or whatever with Killer and kills all
That card would be straight broken if it didn't kill your own obelisk.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Literally just broken tier 1 ridiculous. That's probably why they added that last line of text, is because it would be insane.
Well, it's just good because we know Direwolf Digital is testing their cards, which is a good thing. And yes.
I mean, how do you win the tokens mirror? Like, the first person to play that card wins the game on the spot in the tokens mirror?
Yes. The first person that usually would play that.
If it didn't have the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you didn't nuke your own obelisk, you'd just be like, 7 mana, I win. Minus 4 hard the vault, plus 4 of this, so let's go. Actually, probably 3 in a market, but you know what I mean.
True. All right, my card, here it is. It is Last Chance.
Whoa!
Yes. Basically.
I can't actually see when it went up. Did I time that well?
Oh, it was perfect, man. You nailed it.
6.
And so this one, it says draw a unit from your void. It gets, of course, we're from the Void podcast, so I figured this would be appropriate too. Draw a unit from your void. It gets void bound. Void bound, that basically means it can't be, once it dies, it can't come back. And so this one is cool. It's cost nothing. Anytime I see 0 mana on a card, or 0 in sigil, or whatever you want to call it, anytime I see 0 for a cost, usually something bad happens. Okay, and if it's good, usually it usually sometimes can be broken, sometimes it can. This right here is just, there's so many things you can do with it. I know Notorious want to talk about the time combo that you could probably, the Xenon combo that you can get away with this, but there's so many like applications with this, with units with Killer and Xenon, that you can easily bring stuff out again on the turn that you get the right mana for. It's just, I don't know, it's a good card. What do you guys think?
It does lower the Xenon combo turn timer, which is infuriating to me. But yeah, I'm really excited to try it. I have 2 Dark Returns in my TPS Cleaver list right now, and I'm just going to turn those into Last Chances. Being able to play a Surso, Xenon Initiation the Surso, have it die, and then at 5 mana be able to recur and replay the Surso with Killer is really incredible. So I'm really into trying that in mid-range strategies.
Ooh, you can send me your list there, because I want to try this out with Void Bound.
All right, I got you.
I think Last Chance is a really powerful card. You already touched on the fact that 0 mana cards are scary, and this is a really scary 0 mana card. I think, for example, this card is great for decks like Tellier combo, just because it does also lower the amount of mana you need for that deck, which is nice, and gives it more access to Dark Returns. Like, I think it plays more than 4 copies of a recursion effect now. This card, one thing I want to quickly touch on is I've heard people say they think this card is good in Scream. No. I think that card, like, Scream is a deck that really wants, like, you know, when you Scream something and then you want to Dark Return it, and then sometimes you got to do it again. Like, you kind of need to just, it's almost like you're building ammo rounds, and if you kind of just cut off what you're building up to, you're not going to end up finishing the game a lot of the time. So I don't think it's great in a deck like Scream, but I think it has a lot of implications in decks like, for those who remember, Dark Return was not heavily played, but was played at some points in time in Temporal Control. I think this might be better in those type of decks, just because of efficiency. Often, if you went like Dark Return Harbinger, that was your only play that turn. But maybe if it only costs 6 now, maybe you get that strategize in. But that one I could be wrong about, depending on like how you build the decks and things like that. If mana efficiency is not going to be big at that high of the curve, it might not matter. And then in that case, you want the +1. A lot of combo decks this is good for. And I just think this is just an absurdly powerful card that's going to find homes in decks that you might not entirely expect. I don't know if it's good enough for, let's just say, Xenon Killers, but it wants to recur things like Dawnwalker and whatever you put Killer on and things like that. I don't know if this will go in that deck, because sometimes, you know, returning, say, oh my god, Serapod is still going to be insane, but if you don't get the +1/+1 on, say, Orc Interrogator, bringing back Interrogator is not very good. So I don't know about those decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm
All right,
sure,
get us out of here. Get us to the next card.
One last thing. I'm sure someone will find a way to break this card, and I look forward to it. Okay, that's my
100%.
that is my thing. All right, next card. Notorious. We'll go with you. Your card is Shakedown.
Oh,
So, for those of you who play Magic, this card's gonna look a little bit familiar. For those of you who
I'm
don't
so excited about this.
know the card yet, it's 1 mana, choose a card. Holy crap, voice. Choose a card that costs 3 or less from the enemy player's hand. They discard it, and then Nightfall. So in Magic, this card exists except without Nightfall. It's called Inquisition of Kozilek. That's quite good.
Very good.
Giving Nightfall is interesting. So I want to touch on the fact that I think this card is terrible in, say, heavy control decks.
I did learn that last night. I played a lot
Yeah.
of Temporal Control last night with Shakedowns.
It
was a
wasn't good.
disaster. It was a bad look.
Yes.
But what this card is good with is the decks that are proactive. So, for example, various Scream decks are going to jam this card. I could see, say, Stone Scar aggro and Argentport midrange, and things like that all want to have access to this disruptive effect. Also, proactive strategies tend to make Nightfall better for them, which is good. You can also use this card as kind of a combo enabler, as I'm going to clear the path. One of the weird things about the card is you cannot respond with a Desert Marshal. So if I'm just scared of you Desert Marshaling me, I can shake you down first, take your Marshal, and then play what I want you to. Then play into the Desert Marshal that now doesn't exist.
Except they're going to draw it off the Nightfall, because they always do.
Well, I still hit you for like 5 because I screamed a Highwayman or something, you know? I really love this card in decks like Scream. I also love this card because I think there's a lot of decisions it makes. There are games you're going to draw this and go, I actually don't want to play it here because Nightfall. There are games you're going to go, my opponent's empty-handed. I'm going to play this because I need something. And I think this card is just going to create a lot of interesting games. I'm sure... Or the fact that it has Nightfall is going to limit the amount of feel-bad games it has. Because if I look at your hand and I just see Hailstorm, well then you're going to draw 2 cards and like there's a fair chance you're going to find something that costs 3 or less. So, at least it doesn't like completely remove counterplay from your opponent, which is nice. I think this is a really well-designed discard effect. And I think it's going to see play in various proactive strategies. For a very long time.
It reminds me, because I come from a Magic the Gathering background, and when there was a card, Inquisition of Kozilek is one of them, but there's another card called Thoughtseize, which is it's basically 1 mana, you take 2 damage, and you can remove any non-land, or basically, if you want to say, non-sigil card from the hand. That's anything. That's powerful for 1 mana. It's basically like a removal spell in that sense, a proactive removal spell. You get to choose what to take out and have your own decide what path you want to take to attack their hand. And in Magic, especially when Thoughtseize was in standard, it was so powerful. And just because playing on turn 1, you can stop an aggro person's turn 1 play if you're going first, or stop a control deck, take their early game removal. This card right here, I can see it be played maybe in a little bit of some mid-range decks as well. I like to try it there too. Just because of you can stop sometimes. I have to test it out because the Nightfall it's like a pro and con, because you draw a card but your opponent also draws a card. But to take away, like you said, Notorious, their early game stuff, that is really powerful. That is you can just put a damper on someone, because I can see someone playing this against, let's just say, even though an aggro person could draw another card, but if also you take their turn 1 play and that's all they have, and they don't you just slow them down for a turn, taking 2 to 4, maybe even 6 damage from them, even though they drew an extra card, you can slow them down a couple turns, and that's huge when you're playing against aggro, for like a tempo play. But I think this card right here, it reminds me of another Magic card, Vendilion Click. It's actually like a 3 mana 3/1 card that lets you look at your opponent's hand, and they basically, you take 1 card out of it and they draw a card. That's what it reminds me of a little bit, but you draw a card as well. And I think this will see play. I think it'll be a pretty good card, but I don't think it'll be good in control, as Travis has talked about a little bit. So good choice. I'm excited for this.
You learn by doing, is what I always say.
Yes.
All right. Moving on.
Mm-hmm. What is your card, Travis?
Today, I'm here to talk about... I'm tired of you guys talking about Tier 1 competitive decks and cards. I'm here to talk about a fun card that is maybe secretly kind of decent. Throw up that picture of Cauldron Cookbook, Navillus. Is it already up on the screen?
It is up on the screen right when you said throw it up there. I'm on top of it.
Cookbook. Two mana relic. Once per turn, you may draw a card and shovel 3 firebombs into your deck. I'm calling it right now. There will be a deck that top 8s in the ETS this season with 1 Cauldron Cookbook in the market. I guarantee it. It is secretly decent counterplay against the control strategies that aggro decks are all very sad about. I think this is like kind of it's good. What am I trying to say?
You want me to
it's a good and balanced way to have aggro decks get like pseudo card draw. Obviously, you don't want an aggro deck to have like super easy access to a ton of card advantage. But I think this is the perfect kind of aggro card draw with a downside that an aggro deck should have.
Do you want me to throw the deck list up? The one you kind of threw together?
This is actually, yeah, you can throw it up now. This is actually a deck my good friend and teammate Paradox made. This is not an aggro strategy. This is actually, they've been throwing us Skycrag ramp cards for the last 3 expansions, and it's finally time. I call this deck Ramp Up Pawnee. This deck is all about building up power and quickly by cheating out power with like Rusty Grenomotive and cheating out cards off the top of your deck with Rika. Have you ever seen Rika in a constructed deck, GHP?
I have, actually. I go deep.
Yeah, apparently. There's synergy with Great Kiln Titan with the 3 Cauldron Cookbooks in the deck. I have actually acquired a lethal to play by playing Great Kiln Titan and then playing the Cauldron Cookbook off the top of my deck. Because as you know, Great Kiln Titan does damage equal to the cost of any relic you play while he is on the field. Waystone Titan is low-key, like, super good in the deck. This, just more and more ramp. Crimson Firemaw makes your stuff cost less. It's like inverse ramp. Yeah, so it's just a fun, probably not a tier 1 deck, but it is a fun and surprisingly decent strategy.
It looks fun. So if you people want to try this out, we will put this link in our show notes, so you can click on it and see this Cauldron Cookbook deck in all of its glory. And
yes, the links to all deck list on From the Void and many of my spicy brews will be on my Eternal Warcry link. Just search user BassoonBuffoon on Eternal Warcry to see every deck list that we play on From the Void.
Cool. All right, before we go into close the show, I believe, Travis, you want to do a little miss shout out or something like that. You have it here that you want to. You called it your boo-boo last week.
Dear viewers, I come to you with my hat in my hand and my heart on my sleeve. Last week I shouted out so many community organizers and good websites, and I forgot one. And I feel terrible about it. The Great Parliament is a very good competitive team, and they run the Eternal Community League. It's a monthly tournament league with on the last Sunday of every month, culminating in a single elimination conquest format tournament. Great group of people. I do commentary for them sporadically. I know GHP does commentary and competes in their tournaments. They have tournaments every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. So if you ever have a competitive, eternal itch to scratch, they are your most reliable and consistent source of them. Go to eternaltournaments.com. Again, that's the Great Parliament's Eternal Community League. I love them all very much, and the owner of the team, Reshef, is a future guest on this show.
I'm looking forward to that. That's like to say, I'm sorry, but also we want you as well. So
he already knows. I've already talked to him about it. He knows.
Cool, and everything. So yes, go check that out. They're a great team and a great place to go play some tournaments. I need to get into that as well. I'm trying to get more into the tournament scene. So, because I enjoy this game a lot and everything. All right, let's close it up here. We're about that time, so we're gonna do some sign-offs and shout-outs here. Notorious, you're a guest. Got any shout-outs? Got any last things you want to say? You want to yell at Reddit one last time? This is your chance.
I'm not going to yell at Reddit, but this might take a little while because there's a few people to thank. So first, thanks for having me on the show. It was fun. I like doing this type of thing.
Thank you for being our first guest. I appreciate it.
I'd, of course, like to shout out to Team Rankstar, the team I'm a part of, who has Gwent, Shadowverse, Elder Scrolls Legends, Magic, Eternal, and Hearthstone teams, and I think that's all. There's more. I don't know anymore. Mm-hmm. But they're an awesome team that I'm happy to get to work for. I'd like to shout out our sponsor, Ink Gaming. Where using about 40 different Rankstar codes, you can get 12% off. Let's see, what else? You could find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Discord, all at NotoriousShP. And, of course, I offer coaching, which can be found on our Rankstar website. I think that's all for me.
Cool. All right, Travis, what about you?
All right, you can follow me at Twitter at Human Venipede. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. You can follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/BassoonBuffoon. I will almost certainly be doing an evening stream tonight. I unfortunately, even though it's only our third episode, will have to miss next week. So I love you all very much, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. We're working right now on getting a beautiful and handsome substitution for me. It shouldn't be that hard to find a handsomer substitute.
It's not me then.
Notorious, I'll just grab you again. Like, Notorious, just come on. Let's just talk, okay?
just make that Thursday morning alarm a weekly one, please. All right. Thank you so much to Avantis and the Hero Power Podcast and ECMMO Gamers for having us. Before we get into some games with this match, Navillus, what do you do?
For me, you can find me on Twitter at _Navillus. So just add the before it. That is my personal, where I talk about everything but politics. So there you go. And then on Twitch, I don't have that running yet, but pretty soon I'm going to start streaming. So as soon as that happens, I will let all of you know. I'm looking forward to that. Shout outs here. I have EC MMO Gamers, Avantis. You can follow him, Avantis HS on Twitter. I give him a huge shout out. He's our producer who we send the stuff to him and he makes it all sound good and throws it on YouTube. So he takes a lot of the workload. So thank you, Avantis. Thank you, Hero Power, for giving Travis and I the chance to do this. And I believe also, Team Rankstar. Thank you for letting me be part of that awesome team as well. A couple last things for From the Void Podcast. Our Twitter is at From the Void Cast. You can see it on Twitter. The website, FromTheVoidPodcast.com, is still in development, but we are going to have it up pretty soon. Also, we're going to have a Discord happening pretty soon, so you can join From the Void Discord to talk all things Eternal, share deck list, talk about lore if you want to, because I'm big into that. I like the story behind the game. So we are going to have all of that happening very soon. Hopefully by next week. We're working on it. And also, we have our episodes. If you missed them, they're on YouTube. So just look for ECMMO Gamers on YouTube. That's ECCMO Gamers on YouTube. And you can find the From the Void Cast. And I'm sure if you just search from the Void Podcast, you'll be able to find and watch and see the beautiful faces of these people on here. So that's all the stuff where you can find us. It is it's going to be. I'm excited what it has for hold. Travis and I are in the works to do some special community events, maybe community questions, and we're working on other things to make this cast even better. So thank you all for listening. Travis, Notorious, any other things? My dog just started barking, so that may be cut out.
On behalf of my co-host, Navillus, on behalf of the beautiful dogs of the world, thank you very much, GHP. This is where we say goodbye to our audio listeners. And Twitch and YouTube, stick around to watch us play a few games with that disgusting and spicy Cauldron Cookbook list that we talked about earlier. I love you all. Goodbye.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.